Well, let's jump right in and let's create our first print publication. We're going to create a simulated menu for an Italian restaurant. Let's start off by creating a new file. We'll click on the new file option. We can see over here that it has remembered that we last used 210 by 297, which is A4. It is going to be in the portrait orientation. We're going to use 8 pages to start with. We're going to have 1 column. We will leave the margins at the default setting, and we must always remember to add bleed to a print document. With that in place, we can click Create. What we're going to do now to start off our design, we're going to lay the foundations for this design. For this, we're going to navigate to the toolbar. We're going to use the rectangle tool. As with all of the other Adobe programs, where you notice this little triangle in the bottom right hand corner, that means that if you click and hold on this tool, it will bring up allied tools that reside in this menu. Remember, we want full print coverage, so to create our masthead, we're going to honor the bleed, and we're going to click and drag over the bleed. I would urge you to do this with me so that we have a really great working print document throughout this section of the training. I now look in the control panel and I can see that there is a 1-point black stroke. This is the symbol for a stroke. What is a stroke? The stroke is the outside of the vector shape. In fact, I don't want a stroke on this shape, so I will pull down on that arrow and I will go and select none. I do, however, want a fill. So I'm going to click on this arrow and I'm going to use red. And we now have our first masthead shape in place. Now, if we look at the Pages panel, you can see that it's only on page 1. We need this to be throughout the entire document. So how do we do that? Yes, there are other ways, but you can copy and paste, or you can just have a shot at just doing it again on this page. You can just have a shot and say, well, I think that was what it was about. So let's just use that. Is it the same? Not at all. That one's thinner, that one's thicker. So what we do, in order to make this system so much more efficient, we use the parent pages in InDesign. Depending on which version of InDesign you're using, it might be referred to as a master, but in the newer version, it is called a parent. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to delete these shapes. I ensure that I have the normal selection tool selected. I click on that, I delete it. I go back to page 1 by double clicking on it in the Pages panel, and I delete that. To enter into the parent pages, we double click on where it says a parent. The top section of the Pages panel is the parent pages, and the bottom section are the document pages. Parent pages are not physical pages, but they are elements that you'd like included in your documents as templates. Let's have a look how that will work. We can see that we have a left-facing parent page and a right-facing parent page. It doesn't help just to click on the rectangle tool and draw out a masthead on the left-facing spread, because you will now see what happens is if you look in your Pages panel, that, let's say in air quotes, that template of the top masthead is only appearing on the left-facing pages, but we want them to appear on the right-facing pages as well. What we'll do is we make sure that we have selected the black selection tool and that the shape is selected. I am going to pull down on the arrow. I do not want a stroke. And we will enlarge the shape of this rectangle or masthead. Remember, we're honoring the bleed and we're dragging it from bleed to bleed. So now, if you look in your Pages panel, our top masthead appears on all our pages. As I said earlier, I do encourage you to follow along with me so that it makes the learning journey so much easier. I'm now going to just deselect that by clicking off there, and I'm now going to add a sidebar to our menu. I have especially chosen the red, and I'm going to choose green for our next shape so that it will fit in to the stereotype colors of an Italian restaurant. I'm going to select the rectangle tool again. I'm just going to zoom out a little. How do I zoom out? I hold the Alt key or the Option key. I use the scroll wheel to scroll in or out. I am going to start on the bleed again, and I'm going to draw a sidebar right down to the bottom bleed. I'm going to fill this with green, and I am going to remove the stroke. So you can see now content is on our left facing pages. We now want the content to be replicated on the right facing pages. Please note it is extremely important to still be working in a parent. We can have different parent pages. We can have a parent, we can have B parent. We can have different parent pages to recreate different sections of a print publication. I'm now going to duplicate this sidebar. To duplicate, you hold the Alt or the Option key and you click and drag across. You will notice the pink Smart Guide. As I'm moving it, that is indicating that we are aligned with the original shape. Place it over the bleed. We see the pink Smart Guide. We let go the mouse, we let go the Alt or the Option key, and we now have got our master content in place, or our parent content.